I mean, I feel like I've been great defensively, but you know, just stopping the opponent's best player. You know, I think I have a good sense of just knowing my personnel. You know, just watching a lot of basketball and just trying to help us win some ball games that we need to win. So, in order to continue the season.
There was a stat going around that you are in the top 10 in opponent field goal percentage.
Yeah.
Um, how does your defense this season compare to the defense you played in your championship year with the Lakers?
You know, I think that year I was good defensively, but I wasn't really guarding the best players and stuff. I think this year I do. You know, it may not be the whole game, but by the time the fourth quarter comes, I'm usually guarding whoever maybe Luka one night or the other night it was Anthony Edwards. The night before that, I don't know who we played. It was Dame and 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗓. So I'm just guarding better players right now, and obviously I've been in this league long enough to realize what other players do and understand and use my angles. So.
How tough is it to be at your best defensively and also at your best offensively at the same time? In other words, when you're
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. You don't really see a lot of guys, a lot of 20-point per game scorers. They're not really guarding anybody. It's you kind of take nights off, or you got to preserve a lot because your team may need you on that end of the court, and at the end of the day. The game of basketball is about putting the ball in the basket, but I just take pride in being a two-way player and being a true two-way player and just just doing whatever it takes to help the team win. So.
What's the fine line between staying ready cardio-wise, but also not burning yourself out? I mean, you have 17 games in 31 days coming up. What's the fine line?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I mean, it's really not a fine line. It's the race to the finish line. Really, it's a sprint now. It's 24 games. And then the postseason is here. So, I feel like the pace, the fine line is over the first half of the season. But this next 24 games is going to fly, and it's going to tell a lot. It's all about how important is it to us to do all the little things, to play defense, to be available, to, how important is it to win? And we'll see over the next 24 games. So.
You talk about not being bored but being great. How do you kind of find that extra gear inside to keep that motivation and burning inside?
Yeah, sometimes it is tough because as basketball players and. I know personally for me, I have a routine, and I do that routine every day. So, sometimes it gets monotonous, but, it's all about having work-life balance. I think that's one thing that really helps. I put my all into this game, and when I'm on the court, I'm locked in, but when I'm off the court, I try not to think about it so much. And, that usually just motivates me when I'm back on the court. So.
What did you learn from winning a ring already that will help sustain you through this last stretch?
You just got to stay with it. You have to understand that you're not going to play great every night. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to have a hot night every night. So, you have to remain even keel through all that. And you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, and especially, it's going to get tight around here, especially, when we're trying to make this push, and it's going to be a lot more pressure because everybody in this building wants to make the playoffs. So, it's fun times. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Is the goal, Kyle, more when you say make the playoffs, to get to 6 and avoid the play-in, or to get to the playoffs any way you guys can?
Play past April 18th, whenever that is. Just play past that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you could be the 7, 8, 9, 10, but you can still get into the playoffs. So, I feel like that should be the focus, and I think, everybody is kind of gearing up for that. So.
Russ always says, take one game at a time kind of thing, but this upcoming 8-game stretch, that's against guys that are jumbled right in the standings near you. Does that up the ante a little bit more?
For sure it does. Obviously we got Atlanta twice, we got Toronto twice. Playing the Knicks right now, they're like 6-7, whatever it is, but got the Bulls coming up too. So, it's gonna be fun times. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really exciting. Essentially we're starting meaningful basketball right now. So.
In a couple weeks, but how's the ankle?
It's improving. I played the game in Portland and I felt good, and then it kind of swelled up a little bit when I was in Minnesota, and it was kind of a little restricted. And over the break, it really helped a little bit, just getting some extra time. And ankles you're going to always deal with throughout the season. I'm sure I'm going to have pain the rest of the way, but I'm just trying to be available, be out here for my teammates, and try to win some games. Oh my goodness. KP just got dunked on. Oof. Yeah.
That's an angry walker. Yeah.
Who did it?
It was Anthony Gill over there, and he's torturing everybody I see.
Because great players are going to score, but how do you minimize easy stuff? How do you make them work, wear them down? I think he's done a really good job in that area. He's made mention of that. That's a priority for him, and we're going to need him to take hold of that. He, along with other guys, to get us back to defending at a high level. It's collective, but it's also an individual challenge. You gotta accept it. You gotta want it, and you gotta do it every possession.
Given how much the team depends on him and also KP and Brad on offense, does it make you less likely to deploy him against an opponent's best scorer?
Not necessarily. I think it's reading who else is on the floor, who's available for us, all comes into play. And there's times where you'll start with certain matchups. Those are favorable, but as you get into the fourth quarter, you make adjustments and you move guys around. It might make sense to kind of change those matchups, as you see fit. So it's not cut and dry. It's not black and white. The freedom of which we play, allows us to switch, quite often, 1 through 4. So you got to, be familiar with, a number of positions beyond the guy that you're tasked with on the scouting report.
Do you think about putting Kuz in that situation as like a developmental piece, almost like he's not obviously a third-year player like Denny or something like that, but saying to a player, okay, you're gonna do both of this now, and you're gonna do it in the fourth quarter. Do you think of it from a here's where we want you to be, or is it just you're just basing it on matchups?
No, I mean a lot of it's just matchups, and I don't think it's anything foreign to him. He's done it, so it's not like, hey, let's see how this is gonna go. I have a pretty good idea of.
I'm actively challenged.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think sometimes he wants the challenge, and sometimes you have to talk him off the ledge, so to speak, because it might be good for that moment, but there's always a trickle down. If he takes that matchup, then it might expose someone else to another matchup that's not as favorable. So finding the best way to put it, but there's going to be some times we're going to challenge him, of course.
What's the fine line as a coach to have everyone ready with their cardio, but also ready mentally without burning them out? You have 17 games in the next 31 days.
Well, it's always a challenge. I mean, you got to think big picture. At times, coaches, we always want to do more, and sometimes less is more. Being really, have that task mindset of what's the most important things that we want to make sure we accomplish. How do we prioritize those things, and just really lock into that. And if we're able to do a little bit extra, great. But if not, be comfortable, with where we are. So just prioritizing the most important things day to day is the biggest key.
For Brad, that he's still kind of dealing with some of this remnants?
No, I mean, we were aware of the awkward landing, and he didn't have any swelling immediately, so that was probably the timeline. I think it was a day or two into the break where he felt some discomfort and saw the swelling, and that's when we were notified.
Should be available tomorrow. Besides,
yep.
Coach, when you look at that first half of the season, what was a positive, and then coming into the second half, what's something that you hope to improve on?
Well, I like where we are, the way we've been playing the last probably 10 to 15 games. I think we're playing offensively at a high level. Just the level of efficiency has been really good. Defensively, I think, a mixed bag. You know, we've had some really good quarters, some really good defensive games, and there's some nights that we didn't put it together. So I think just finding a way to bring that defensive intensity, you know, up a bit, you know, find a more consistent level on that end of the floor is the most important piece.
Also, you guys talked about teams adjusting to you. How have you seen teams adjusting to that KP and Gav? Looking like it's giving teams trouble out there.
Well, a lot of times they're going to downsize, you know, and put pressure on us defensively to match them. A lot of teams have gone in, you know, cross-matched and tried to switch with KP, double him in the post, and, you know, force him to be a playmaker. You know, at times takes away the pick and pop, takes away his airspace to, you know, to shoot the three, but I think he's settled into finding ways to be effective without being a pinpoint, you know, guy in the offense. Spacing the floor, allowing other guys to play, and he becomes a recipient of catch and shoots.